Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Minimum Nerd. Today I have the Surface Pro X, and we're gonna discuss whether this device, this beautiful 2-in-1 laptop, is still worth it in 2020 and going forward to 2021. So it's been almost 1 year since the first release of the Surface Pro X. It was a promise of, the new platform, Windows on ARM, and that promise, I would say, was not kept because Microsoft promised a lot of app, support, and so far the list of apps that actually work natively on ARM is not that great. It's not the same as Apple M1. So I have the MacBook Air M1, and I've been using it for almost 2 weeks now. And I'm very impressed by how fast Apple is moving with their app support. So they're pushing developers really hard to work on their, Apple Silicon. But Microsoft had almost 1 year. That's a long time to show, something like some apps, something like that might incentivize people to buy this laptop. It's not a cheap laptop, it's very expensive. So when it comes to the hardware, I would say it's a very beautiful device. I really love the way it looks, the way it folds. The keyboard is just great. But the problem here is not the hardware, it's the software. So we had almost 1 year, and even now with the new announcement of, with the Windows Insider program, we're gonna have the new build that can support emulation with x64 apps. I would say it's better than nothing, but it's still emulation. We're not talking about native support. So Apple with the Rosetta 2 did a great job, because with my experience with the MacBook Air M1, I had really no issues whatsoever with a lot of apps that I regularly use. And every time I use an app, I have this pop-up that says, hey, there's a new M1 version of this app. So last example was for me Zoom. So I was on a call. After finishing the call, I got a pop-up from Zoom that says, hey, we have an M1 available version for your Zoom client. I was like, wow, that's very fast. And it's interesting that Apple did this in almost 2 months, but Microsoft had 1 year. So I'm just gonna compare some of the apps that we got. For example, now we can use Parallels on the M1 chip, and then I'm gonna install Windows on it. Then we're gonna try to compare the performance between Windows on Mac M1, and then we're gonna compare it with the native, apps that we still have now. We have Photoshop, Lightroom. Lightroom is available in the, as a stable version, but it's not the Lightroom Classic that I got used to. We have Photoshop, which is only a beta at the moment. And that's about it when it comes to Adobe apps. It's really not that great when it comes to what Microsoft is doing to, push developers and push the platform to go forward. I hope this will change in the future with going forward to 2021 with their announcement of building their own ARM chip. So they're not gonna use Qualcomm. Maybe they're gonna make their own design and their own architecture. We're gonna have to see what's gonna happen. But so far, Apple is moving so fast when it comes to the pace of development for the Apple M1. But Microsoft seems super slow for making great apps and making this platform really thrive. So what do I think about this Surface Pro X after comparing to the MacBook Air M1? I think Microsoft missed a great opportunity here to make this the new form factor for laptops in the future. Because honestly, I believe it's a very beautiful device. You got a beautiful screen here. You got the keyboard that is also very flexible. So you can put it back like this. You got the stylus, which is very interesting. You can use it with the whiteboard. So you can draw, you can do a lot of things. But here's the problem. If we had Illustrator or other professional apps already available on the Surface Pro X, this would be a great recommendation for illustrators, designers, creative people. But that's a problem. Like after 1 year, we still don't have any app support that is kind of like great for people who are professionals, right? So that's why I would recommend this device for anybody who just sticks to a browser. So let's just say that you're somebody who only use Chrome or use your, cloud apps. This device is great. You got a great screen, you got great keyboard. The speakers are not that great, to be honest, compared to the MacBook Air, but it's a great, multimedia machine. Microsoft could have made it a great productivity tool. Now, of course, we got Office here, so you can use Word and, PowerPoint on all the Microsoft Office apps. But some people who might want other apps, they will be disappointed with this one. Now, again, we have the announcement that in the next Windows update, they're gonna support emulation with x64 apps. But then again, I'm not a big fan of emulation. Rosetta 2 on the MacBook here is working perfectly, but it's still emulation. You're gonna get some problems. And on the MacBook Air M1, Apple is moving way faster than on the Surface Pro X. So 1 year and nothing to show for it. 2 months and we already have a bigger list of apps than on the Surface Pro X. So Microsoft, please try to work hard to incentivize developers and get them to jump on this new platform. Because if you not push them, if you don't put some incentives, maybe some cash rewards, developers will not jump on that. So far, Windows on ARM is just like a trial period. So they just released the Surface Pro X, then the upgraded version, 2020 version. I feel there is not a big push from Microsoft to support this platform. Maybe in the future with their new ARM, chip that they want to make. But so far, this is not a great look for Microsoft. Apple, on the other hand, will switch completely to the Apple Silicon. So in a sense, they don't have a choice than to go full speed on this one, because all their coming MacBooks and iMacs and Mac Pros, they will be only with Apple Silicon. So from now on, Apple has to make this platform successful because all their products depend on it. Microsoft in this sense seems a bit kind of like, okay, let's try it, let's see how it works, but not really that kind of push that you see from Apple. So what I would say is that things might be bright for the future of ARM on Windows or Windows on ARM, but so far this is not very promising. And like I said, using this device for that price tag, it feels like unfinished business. So great hardware, unfinished software. That's my total verdict. Apple, on the other hand, is doing a great job with the M1 chip, and so far I only have positive impressions and positive feedback about my experience 2 weeks with the MacBook Air M1. So that's a wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and let me know in the comments below what do you think Microsoft could do in the future, and whether they're gonna actually be able to compete with Apple, and whether we're gonna see Windows on ARM as the dominant platform in the future, maybe 10 years from now. So leave a comment down below. See you guys in the next one.